Hi, I'm Yasheema Marshall. Welcome back to my channel, Beyond the Blur. On my channel, I talk about the psychological and emotional challenges that we experience being visually impaired. And so this is the third video in a 7-part series where I'm talking about the 7 stages of adjustment to vision loss. And these 7 stages are really very similar to what we may go through in a grief process, okay? And as a visually impaired people, when we're losing our vision, whether it's total blindness, we're just starting to lose our vision, we go through some stages that we work through and have to work through in order to get to the point where we accept completely our diagnosis and kind of where we're at. So this week I'm going to be talking about bargaining. Third stage of this process is bargaining. What does that look like? So bargaining happens when we have told our diagnosis, we have been told by the doctor that we're going to lose a lot of our vision, we're going blind. These are the details of your visual impairment, whatever it may be, your disease, what have you. And this is what's going to happen, as a result of it. And so bargaining comes right after denial, right? We're in the denial stage, and then we kind of move into bargaining. And so what does that look like? We're trying to maintain control of some sort of normalcy we had before someone told us that we're going to lose our vision, before someone said that, or before we even realized ourselves that something was wrong, before we went blind. All the things. Bargaining comes into play. We're trying to, maintain that, or that control of our life that we have, that we feel that we've lost. And you think about, like, what does that look like? Am I bargaining? It looks like, after you got your diagnosis, it looks like you're going to the computer, doing an excessive amount of research, trying to find the newest technology, the newest treatment, the newest thing to do that you can try to cure this. Maybe if I can do this treatment, if I have this surgery, or I try this, maybe I will restore my vision. Maybe I'll stop it from going to complete blindness. And so bargaining gets to that point where we're trying to figure out and bargain with ourselves that maybe this isn't really happening, and maybe I can stop it. And so we get into that thing. Well, okay, I got it. I'm going to eat better. And then it's going to improve my sight. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get a second, a third, and a fourth, opinion, medical opinion, because this doctor does not know what he's talking about. I believe that I can turn this around. And sometimes even in bargaining, what we can do is, get to the point where we're spending lots of money on adaptive tools, or technology, devices, gadgets, things that we think will help us improve our vision or bring it back. And the truth be told is that it's not really going to happen, is it? And the truth of the matter is that our expectations during this time, which is why it's called bargaining, our expectations and what we're thinking, what we're doing is really based off of unrealistic outcomes. Unrealistic outcomes. That's when you're bargaining. And how did this work out for me? What was I doing? I remember getting to that point where, of course, I went through my year of denial, and then now I probably moved on to bargaining. And I think me personally, because, these stages are like fluid, right? So it doesn't mean that I'm going through them as 7 stages, because I'm just describing them as they would move along, the path. However, let's just be honest, to be really truthfully honest with you, is that sometimes, these stages don't go all in order. Okay. And so for me, I think that I started bargaining a little bit before even the denial part, or they were kind of like joined together. So, I immediately, and there were some things, and I'm not saying that sometimes medically there are not some things that you need to improve, or you can do to prevent it from getting worse, or the experience. I mean, for my situation particularly, if I don't keep my diabetes under control, if if some of you have some other things that you're not supposed to do, or you're supposed to improve in order to let's see, prevent the condition from getting worse faster, if that makes sense. And so for me, that was my bargaining chip. I was like, oh my gosh, because I lost sight and went through surgery and lost vision in one eye. And so I still had one, and I say good eye, because I almost had 20/20 vision still left in the eye. Even though all the damage was happening behind my eye, my vision and what I was seeing was very, very good, right? It was still, I only still had a stigmatism in terms of what my level of glasses were at that time. And so at that time, and I think it was really motivated too by my doctor, because I think that he was bargaining because the surgery on the one eye didn't go well. We weren't successful. It wasn't successful. So I think that he had a sense of feeling his lack of success, or guilt that it didn't work out, that maybe he didn't do enough at that time to help prevent me from losing the sight in my right eye. And so we went into the next stage is like, okay, we do these treatments, we do this laser, we make sure you're doing this diet, you're doing these things, all these things in order to prevent it from happening in your left eye. When in the reality of the disease is that it's going to progress, okay? And even though I think that medically as a doctor, he knew that eventually my left eye would get to the point where my right eye was at, and we're going to eventually have to have surgery. I'll get to that point. And so, but it was a bargaining chip. Like, listen, we can do all these things in hope that I buy some more time with my left eye. And when you think about it, and as you're going through it at that time, you don't think that it's something wrong, right? You're like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to find out what can I do to improve it? What can I do to stop it? And there's really nothing that I could do to prevent it from happening. I could do things like laser to stop the bleeds in my eye. I could do things like, I think it was the shots and the laser, to clear up the fissures and the tears. But the reality was that because the scar tissue was continuing to build behind my eyes, that eventually my vision in my left eye will begin to deteriorate. And that was a true reality. And I remember when my doctor went on vacation, I was at the doctor's office where they had, different doctors there, and he went on vacation. And so I said, I'm going to go and see another doctor. And that's typically something I wouldn't do. But I said, I'm going to go, I know he's on vacation. I'm going to go and see what one of the other doctors in his practice, his colleagues, what they say about it. And it was so funny. Again, in that bargaining stage, not completely accepting what was happening, because now my left eye is starting to act up and the vision is starting to change. And so now I'm truly in bargaining mode. What can we do? What do we need to do? And he looked me in my eye and he said, Miss Marshall, you're going to have to understand that what is happening to you, the bleeds, the scar tissue, the deteriorating vision in your left eye, it's just a part of the disease. It's a part of what's happening with your eye. And you're going to have to just learn to understand that and deal with the disease. What? How dare he say those things to me? But it was a point of realization, for me, and what he was saying, like, hey, yep, you're right. The vision directly in your eye, what you can see, you can read the letters and go down the visual chart, and you can go pretty low. He said, but you're right. The quality of your vision, the the deterioration of your vision is happening, and it's not probably going to stop. And, well, what about surgery? Will that help? What about surgery? And that's another story for another time. Because I wasn't in my bargaining stage at that time. And so, that's where you're at with bargaining. You start to think that you want to figure out something. I had to figure out something to stop this from happening. This is not happening. I need to go back. I need my vision back. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm going to bargain unrealistically with what's happening with me. And so, what happens when you get to that stage? I know for me, someone who was blind or vision impaired, had been vision impaired all their life. He said to me, Yasheema, I just want to let you know this because I know you're working hard at trying to live your life and a sense of normalcy and get back to what you used to do. He said, but I want to tell you something and don't feel bad about it. But I always tell people this when they're losing their vision. He said, one day the light isn't going to be bright enough and no TV is going to be big enough. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. And I wasn't being sarcastic because it was true. It was going to come to a point where it doesn't matter how big the television was, my vision was still going to be blurry. The scene in the movie can be as big as it can be, and my vision was still going to be cloudy. I still was going to need to come straight up to the screen to see it. I still was going to have to use voiceover to read my phone. I still was going to have to do the real things, adaptive tools, to see in my kitchen while I was cooking. So there was going to be, I had to come to the realization that there was not going to be any bargaining chip that I could use to change my situation. And that's what I'm telling you right now. What does it look like for you? I say, Yasheema, but there are some things I can do. And there may be some things you can do. But I want you to make sure that those things are realistic. Okay? I want to make sure that when you're researching this new technology or this new surgery or this new research, that it's really realistic for you. That it's not some, experimental thing that's going to make things worse for you. That you're not going to continue to chase an empty dream, that your vision is one day going to come back. And I'm not saying that miracles can't happen, because I'm a woman of faith. I believe in miracles, but I also believe in realism. I believe in the here and the now. What's happening in my life right now. And there's no way to bargain yourself out of losing your vision. You have to learn how to get adaptive tools that actually make a difference in your life. What does that look like? Will this light help you do your work? Maybe to a certain extent. But you may still need to use, your computer, your voiceover on your computer to work on your computer. You still may be able to have to make your screen bigger, zoom it out to do your work if you're still working. You still may need help reading recipes in your kitchen when you're trying to cook for your family. You still may need help in general through your vision loss journey. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Bargaining. I want you to look at your situation realistically. Don't stay in the zone where you're just on a computer trying to search everything to change what's happening in your life. Because while you're chasing unrealistic things, real life is happening. Real life is happening. There are things you can do for real to improve your quality of life. There are things and people you can have help you to improve the quality of your life. Okay? So focus more on that. That will help you, because that's going to be another step in accepting where you are on your vision loss journey. Because remember, healing is not a race. It's a journey. And I hope this was good for you today. I hope I help you. Hope there were some tips and some nuggets that you can grab from my lesson today about bargaining on, and when we're losing our vision loss, and what to do, what not to do, what it looks like, so if you're in this stage. Join me next time for the 4th video in our series. Well, I'll be talking about depression and grief, what that looks like along our vision loss journey as we're trying to adapt and adjust to our vision loss. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with people that's going to be helpful for their life.